Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to chat about how to think like a millionaire even if you're broke right now. A lot of the times it comes down to mindset, okay? I've read literally hundreds of personal finance books over the years, okay? And these are the main things I've learned about millionaires that I want to share with you so you don't have to spend all that time reading all these books, okay? Often it starts with the mind, as I said, so not necessarily how you grew up. If you didn't grow up wealthy, it doesn't mean that you can never be wealthy in the future. These perspectives and mindset shifts are really the key things that you need to implement to be wealthy in the future. A wealthy mindset and a wealthy life for yourself. Whether that means wealthy in family or success or, health, it all relates to the same thing, and that's the mindset that you portray to be able to achieve those things. So of course this is a personal finance channel, so I'll speak more on the money side of things, but wealth can come in all different forms, of course. If we don't have our health, for example, we can't do all these things to, gain money. So if we look after our health, our mind and our body, mind, body, soul, guys, okay, you can of course implement these things to be wealthy in terms of cash as well in the future. The very first thing is to rewire your brain and not to be complaining. How many times have you or been surrounded by friends who say, oh man, I wish I was a singer, or I wish I was a fucking director in this company, or I wish I could make £100,000 of a salary every year. If you keep wishing about things and not actually actioning them, you are never going to realize those things, okay? It's always going to be a fantasy in your head. The next time your friend, or even if it's you, keeps saying, I wish, how about actioning those things and then you can actually achieve them, okay? When you have a goal like that, if you're constantly living in your head, you're only gonna drag yourself down and dampen your mood and dampen the potential that you think that you can have. So you need to start with boosting your mindset rather than always dragging yourself down. So if you have a goal to be a director of a finance company in the future, let's say that's your dream because you want to be successful, what are the steps that you need to take to actually get there? Don't just say, I wish I was a director. Understand the kind of education that you have now and the kind of education you would need. Maybe you don't even need to go to university to be a sales director, for example. What you can do is have mentors in that space that have achieved that job. This literally happened to me, when I used to work for a previous company. I literally said to the director, hey, can I just have an hour of your time every month just to sit with you and understand how you got that career that you have now? So learning from people who have done it themselves and have achieved the goal that you want to achieve is a better way to get to the step of actually achieving it. If you always live in your mind and always complain about the life that you have, but never action anything, you're never going to get anywhere. This is also true for money as well. So if you say, I can never afford to buy a house, or if you say, I can never afford to have a family and kids because I only have 30 grand of a salary, okay? You need to understand in your brain, how can you get to a point to achieve that goal? And this doesn't have to be a scrimping mindset. Of course, we want to talk about wealth growing as well in this. People who stay focused on problems are always going to stay broke in their mind, right? Millionaires tend to look for solutions. So if you're more solution-based in your mindset, you are more likely to be successful and achieve your goal. Number 2 then is to reduce your fear of failure. And a way you can do this is to understand where your risk is in your life. For example, if you have never invested in your life and you're really fearful of putting your money into something where it could go down, and of course, investing, money can go down, it can go up too. So if you're too afraid to even start, you're never going to get onto that path of wealth, okay? So for example, if you had literally £200 every month that you could invest into the S&P 500, and let's say you're age 25 now, by the time you're 65 and retiring, this is how much money you would have, right? However, if you didn't invest at all and you just stayed inside of your current savings account, which only gives 1% interest, right? This is how much money you would have in that same period if you saved £200, okay? The difference is massive. And because you had a fear there of investing, you lost out on something called compound interest and compound growth. So of course, it's really important to understand where your money is going 100%. But if you're too afraid to even step onto that train, you're going to be left behind. So you can train yourself to tolerate discomfort. A way about this is to literally talk to your manager and to negotiate a pay rise. If you put yourself in uncomfortable situations like that, you will of course grow from that experience. Or maybe you could try a YouTube channel like this and try and set up a little business for yourself on the side. Or maybe just invest a very small amount. If you invest £50 and start with that and see how you feel after a few months of automatically investing £50. Once you take the emotions out of things, it's a lot easier to be able to achieve the goal then. But of course, always be really cautious with investing. For example, things like cryptocurrency, which you often hear about, that can be really volatile. And it means your money often goes up, down, up, down, up, down like this, okay? Even if it's in for longer periods of time. So just be really cautious and careful about where you put your money, of course, and to educate yourself on platforms like this, you know. I've worked in finance for the last 10 years, so hopefully you can trust what I'm telling you. But if not, there's loads of personal finance books out there. There's The Psychology of Money, which is one of my favorite books. I'll drop the link down below if you haven't read it. Or there's other areas where you can understand the difference between assets and liabilities, such as the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. So if you do your own education, you don't have to spend that much at all. You will of course boost and learn more about investing and understand where your money is going before you put it in something. Number 3 then is to surround yourself with high-level thinkers, right? So if you surround yourself with people who want to be successful in their life, okay, you will start to get that energy onto you as well, okay? If you're only surrounding yourself with people who don't care how their life goes, who are happy to stay at home, happy to be a bit of a loser, live in the basement of their parents' house, right? That's totally like a movie based. But these things happen, okay? Sometimes people don't push themselves and we start to fall into this thing, well, if no one else in my group is pushing themselves, it's okay that I'm not too, you know? That's totally the wrong mentality to live by. But if you surround yourself with people who have that drive, man, who have that drive for success and want to succeed and want a better life for themselves or their family around them, you know, those are the best type of people to surround yourself with, because you're only going to gain positive things from that interaction. Do you guys know anyone at the minute? You don't have to say out loud, okay? But do you know people who have literally not done anything with their life? And do you want to be like that? Do you want to literally scrounge off the government? Do you want to scrounge off your parents and not have a decent amount of money for yourself to enjoy the life around you? Money can be used as a tool, okay? It's not about buying things to be like, oh, look at me, aren't I great with my Ferrari, right? It's about improving the life that you have for yourself. For example, you could have better health insurance if you had more money. You could live in a nicer, safer area and a greener area if you had more money, rather than in a dodgy part of town. You can of course eat nicer food, eat more fruit and vegetables, fresh food, rather than focusing on cheap or processed food. It's about a full circle moment here. It's not about buying things, you know, to look great to other people. It's about improving your quality of life. I read this quote the other day and I don't know who said it initially, but it was literally like, are you doing something for yourself because you love yourself? Now that seems so fairy wishy-washy, right? But what she meant by that was like, if you are literally lying on the sofa all day on a Saturday and Sunday, eating crisps, eating chips, eating pizza, are you doing that because you love yourself and you want the best for yourself? No. You're doing it because you feel low about yourself, because you may be in a depressive mood, okay? You may feel like you're a bit of a loser and that's why you're sitting on the couch. You may have no friends because you feel like you have low self-worth. However, in contrast, if you maybe on a Saturday go for a nice walk, maybe you cook a nice poached eggs and avocado toast for yourself, which is literally not that much money. People always turn their head up when I say that, but it's like an avocado is literally £1, okay? And a thing of eggs is £1.50. And if you can't afford that, there's something seriously wrong, right? But it helps to look after your health, go for a nice walk, look after your body, and then maybe read, and then maybe catch up with a friend. You know, that's a perfect weekend there, you know? So how are you treating yourself? Are you treating yourself with respect and dignity, or are you actually making yourself worse because you're putting yourself in these situations where you're suppressing your worth? Number 4 then is to shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, okay? A fixed mindset would be like, well, this is just my personality and this is just how I am. Or, you know, this is just how I grew up, so this is how I do things, you know. It's a very fixed mindset and there's no, you know, movement in it. There's no room for growth. And if you start to truly believe that you cannot change, you will never change or even try and change. And yes, it's not our fault how we grew up or the situations in which we were put in as a child. But now as an adult, you can of course change the life and your mindset, right? You don't have to push yourself down and just pretend, well, this is me, this will be me forever, you know, oh, I'm in a little ball, right? You can, of course, change the trajectory of your life if you have more of a growth mindset. And in that, it's more like reading more about personal finance, okay? Maybe expanding your mind and speaking with people from different cultures to open up your viewpoint and have different perspectives in your life. If you're constantly only coming at things from a certain angle, like your very small mindset, okay, you're never going to see the full picture. So if we educate ourselves and grow and listen to motivational talks, everything is free. You know, YouTube is amazing, right? You can get motivational talks from people like Layla Hormozi, who I've listened to a lot lately. She's this really courageous, strong-ass businesswoman in America, right? She gives these motivational talks on her YouTube channel, right? I'll pop it down below if you're interested. But also her husband as well, Alex Hormozi, both, you know, amazing mindsets. And even if you don't agree with everything they say, you can take a massive amount from the beliefs that they have amongst themselves and how they literally started from nothing to grow to over £100 million net worth. So if you believe that your skills and your intelligence can improve and grow, you're more likely to, of course, grow beyond your wildest desires, because the things that you learn and implement and surround yourself with, of course, is only going to do you good. Number 5 is to train your brain to see money as a tool and not as an identity. So people who attach a lot of their self-worth to money often are very fearful and will actually blow money to try and impress people, okay? How many people have you heard of, or do you know, who have spent maybe all of their life savings on a lovely Louis Vuitton handbag, right? Yes, Louis Vuitton is beautiful. Aren't they gorgeous, right? But only pay for things if you can actually afford it. If you start to practice emotional detachment from materialistic items like handbags, like shoes, like clothes, you will start to feel better amongst yourself and use that money more for growth within yourself rather than spending it on things that actually don't mean much at all. I know it's nice to get nice things, and I'm not saying never buy nice things, okay? Spend things on things that you love, but make sure to only spend it if you can afford it. 30% of your monthly income should only go towards your wants, and if you don't even need to use that much money, save the difference. Don't feel like you always have to splurge. So millionaires tend to see money as a tool to create freedom, to create options for themselves in the future, and to buy assets. So assets are something that can make you money. So an example of an asset is, of course, investing in an index fund like an S&P 500, right? Or maybe buying investment property so that you can rent it out and gain money every month from that. If you buy more assets with your money, you're more likely to grow your wealth quicker. Number 6 is to condition your brain to see opportunities. Now, I would say I have definitely stepped into this one more because building up this YouTube channel very slowly, right? I've been able to find opportunities that maybe I can grow better as a person, or maybe areas that I can learn more in so I can share with you guys. And that has been a big eye-opener, because once you kind of switch on that part of your brain to see opportunities of, hey, what do these guys need that might need help in personal finance, okay? And from that, I've been able to create free resources for people, like my money checklist, which I'll pop below, which is totally free, okay? Or maybe areas where people want to improve their finances, like how to budget, so I created a budget template for people. When you start to see opportunities, you can, of course, grow within yourself and help other people grow too. The thing is, if you're constantly thinking about money struggles and financial struggles, that will be the core of your mind all the time. Whereas if you start to see opportunities, let's say, for example, you get paid $3,000 every month and you're finding that because of the area that you live in, you just have less and less money every month and you're not able to save. So if you switch into more of an opportunity mindset, you might be like, okay, if I walk my neighbor's dog for $20 an hour, how much money can I actually achieve extra every month? You might be able to do it for £200 a month and have that extra income there to be able to save. You could, of course, get exercise, make new friends around the corner with your dog owners, okay, and save more money there. So if you're moving from a, oh my God, I'm worried about money, I'm never going to be able to succeed or save, and move into an opportunity mindset and actually find solutions for yourself, you can, of course, get into that rhythm and finding solutions elsewhere for things. The next tip is to reframe hard work as a rewarding game. If you start to gamify your life and gamify your goals, you're more likely to be excited, and when you are successful, you'll get a boost of dopamine from it, rather than always thinking about the struggle. So if you're trying to save a pot of money, let's say an emergency fund, right, and you find it so stressful that you don't have one right now, a reminder, an emergency fund is stuff that we only use for emergencies, like there's a leak in your house or your car breaks down, right? You should have 3 to 6 months of living expenses in your emergency fund. Do you guys have that at the minute? Let me know down below if you struggle to save this, okay? So instead of seeing this wealth building or savings building as a struggle, gamify it. If you need to save, let's say £10,000 in that pot of money, okay? Every time you hit £500 of a goal, you celebrate that win. Maybe you go to the park with friends and have a celebration, right? Maybe you bring friends over and watch a movie and have a movie night. Celebrate your wins for yourself. You don't have to tell anybody that you've done this, or even increase the goal so every time you hit £1,000 you do something nice for yourself, okay? If you celebrate the wins, you kind of gamify it, and it's important not to be silly with this. So I'm not saying every time you reach £1,000 to spend £1,000 on a fancy handbag. That would be mental, right? But to celebrate yourself, like maybe cook yourself an extra nice brunch that time that you've reached £1,000, or maybe go to a new part of town and go to a cafe and buy yourself a nice little muffin, right? It does not often have to be monetary, but sometimes you can just go out and do things for yourself and to celebrate that win that you have done and achieved that part of your goal. Does anyone else have really good personal finance books that they like to recommend? For me, as I said, Rich Dad Poor Dad taught me a lot in my 20s about assets and liabilities and learning from scratch, right? Psychology of Money, as I said, is a great way to understand the mind of a very wealthy person like a millionaire, okay? And how to not fall into traps to stay poor. If you guys have any other recommendation, I'd love if you could drop them below and we can all learn from each other on this. But thanks guys, I shall pop 2 other videos here which will help you on your wealth journey. But until then, I tend to post 2 videos a week, and if you could subscribe and help the channel out, that would be great, but no pressure. Thanks guys, I'll see you soon. Bye!